Morning. And joining us now to discuss these dangerous ingredients more in depth is Dr. Daryl Joffrey. He's a nutritionist and a gut health specialist. Dr. Joffrey, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you guys today.
Yeah, see you as well.
You know, it's really interesting because we now know that our small farmers are under attack in this country, a lot of them losing their farms. That's where a lot of our natural food historically has come from. Also in our country, we are being conditioned to love ultra-processed foods. So how do you get people to stop eating these chemically laced foods?
It's a great question. And the reason why we love them is because we're so addicted to them. And that's what these manufacturers want. I mean, when you go into that grocery store, 70% of those foods that we find are ultra-processed. And they're taking us out. They're reducing our longevity. And they're smart. They want us to be addicted. And it's called the bliss point. They take the three big ingredients, sugar, refined salt, and these unhealthy fats, the seed oils that Chris was talking about, and that is the perfect storm to make us sick. So ultimately, it's not about giving up the foods that we love. It's about finding better versions of the foods that we love. So my number one rule is when you go to the grocery store, don't be hungry. Shop the perimeter. And if that food can go bad, that food is probably good for you.
That's a great point. And Dr. Joffrey, here's another part of the problem. A lot of food that's marketed as healthy, in fact, is not. Things like Impossible Burgers, nut milks, those are ultra processed as well. So how do people even know how to navigate what's being marketed to them as something that's supposed to be good for you?
Yeah, I always say the only thing impossible about those burgers is their ability to make you healthier. There's nothing good about those ingredients and those products. And again, it's like a chemistry experiment. Literally, they're taking this like lab-grown ingredients and they're throwing it on a bun, and then they expect us to eat that. So it's really, really not good just because it's plant-based, right? And the same thing with nut milks. I go into the store, there's like 15 different nut milks. Now, a couple of them I'll buy because when you look at them, they have two ingredients, filtered water and organic almonds. But the rest of them, I mean, there's so many ingredients in there that you can't pronounce. And if you can't pronounce them, you can't digest them. So ultimately, we have to become label readers. These bad ingredients have snuck their way into our diet. And when we look at those labels, we'll be able to have a better understanding if we should put that food in our body or if we shouldn't.
You know, it's interesting, Dr. Joffrey, because Dr. Phil has been exposing a lot of our farmers who are losing their farms. A lot of those farmers committed to providing the natural, healthy foods because of these big companies coming in and taking over and creating these ultra-processed foods. So how do we know, and what is the main difference between an ultra-processed food and processed food, and why is it so much worse for our health?
Processed foods, they've been altered from their natural state through things like canning and freezing and preservatives, but they still maintain some of their nutritional status, which is better, not optimal, but better. When you look at these ultra-processed foods, literally they are heavily industrialized, processed. There's preservatives, emulsifiers, sweeteners. They're high in sugar, fat, those seed oils. By the way, seed oils, the very worst thing for our health. They have a 7-year half-life. They rust and rot our brain, and they bear no resemblance to the original food. So an example would be something like oatmeal, which is processed but still has some nutritional status, versus something like instant oatmeal, which is the last thing you want to put into your body.
Yeah, anything that speeds up the cooking process has removed all of the nutrients from it. So, Dr. Joffrey, thank you for reminding us, shop the perimeter, shop organic where you can, and make those healthy choices because your health matters.